We talked about on our last stream the fact that South Africa is filing a case of genocide against Israel at the International Court of Justice. Those court dates are set. I had them in my head and then I lost them. It's either January 10th or 11th and 12th. It's coming up pretty soon. So that'll be something to watch out for. But John Kirby, White House spokesperson here, has an opinion on the nature of this case. He was asked what the position of the United States is on this matter. So here he is.
South Africa's filed this 84-page lawsuit against Israel, accusing them of genocide. Israel says that this is blood libel. Does Washington agree? And where does this put Washington and Pretoria?
We find this submission meritless, counterproductive, and completely without any basis in fact whatsoever.
Meritless, counterproductive, and completely without any basis in fact whatsoever, says John Kirby. Somebody on Twitter found some video when he was asked a very similar question about the alleged war crimes of Russia in Ukraine. Let's see what he had to say about that versus his response to this.
Russians were committing war crimes. This is of a piece of that, as devastating, disgusting, and sickening as it is. And that's why we're going to participate with the international community on making sure that we can document the evidence of these war crimes so that Russia can be held properly accountable when it's over.
Oh, okay. So you're going to participate with the international community in their investigation into the alleged war crimes of Russia. But we're not going to participate in this. We're not going to even wait and see how the court case unfolds. No, we're going to pass judgment immediately, within 48 hours of South Africa announcing that they're taking Israel to court. First question you get, well, that's meritless. There's no evidence. We think it's a ridiculous lawsuit. You're not going to participate with the international community. You're not even going to wait for the results of the inquiry and the court case. You're just going to pass judgment right away. What happened to the Matthew Miller line? We are going to strongly encourage Israel to abide by international law, and where they don't, we are going to look into it, and we'll voice our opposition to them when necessary in private, but we will voice some opposition. We will take some level of interest in their actions and the legality of their actions. So now you have a court case brought. Israel's going to represent themselves there. They're sending Alan Dershowitz to be their representative. Given the news of the last couple of days, I don't know. They may want to swap him out. But if they double down and send him there, that'll be quite the interesting case to see. But it's a case. Do we believe in international law? Do we believe in the process of inquiry? Do we believe in presenting evidence and judging the outcome based on the evidence presented in the case and counter evidence if Israel has any evidence? Maybe if they can cook up their numbers, because Israel has already said, according to their own admission, 61% of victims in Gaza are civilians. So that makes their claim of genocide baseless. Children are dying at a faster rate in Gaza than they died in the concentration camps in the 30s and 40s. Yet he can pass judgment in a second. No, it's a baseless claim. Mm-hmm. Russia, we're going to participate. We're going to get to the bottom of this because these sure look bad.
Well, 4 out of 5 Western imperialists prefer Israel brand genocide to Russian brand genocide. That's what it comes down to. Who are we allied with? Who do we see our geopolitical interests aligned with, and who do we not? And the standards are completely different. And that's why there's been a collapse in the moral authority of these nations. Now, sharp-eyed viewers and people who have really done their research know that there was always an underlying hypocrisy to Western claims of moral superiority, of having a set of unshakable values. You know, we were propping up dictatorial strongmen in South America for decades while talking about our opposition to the evils of the USSR. So this is who we've always been. It's just that the benefits of allying with the United States have eroded to the point that all of this is collapsing under its own weight. People just didn't dig as deeply into it, and may also be all of the way that you don't have this gatekeeping mainstream media that has an exclusive license to distribute narratives. Because, for example, what you just showed, that was from somebody tweeted out the juxtaposition of those two videos. Back during the Cold War, there was no one to do that. You never would have seen that. Right. I mean, it would have been published maybe in some Xeroxed paper you would have gotten on the street corner that somebody would have been handing out, but you would not have had something like that reaching millions of people. This is really, if the Iraq War had happened now, you would have seen what Michael Moore showed in Fahrenheit 9/11 that was so shocking, because the media never showed you the victims of the Iraq War. They made it look like a game of Missile Command.
Yeah.
You never saw blown apart limbs, right? I mean, that is a big part of the propaganda problem they're having here.
Yeah, and that was just 19 short years ago, right? So imagine during the Cold War, right? Imagine, Vietnam era, what that would have looked like nowadays. And to be able to juxtapose those two videos within, I would wager, a year of each other, 2 years maximum, right? I mean, the Russia-Ukraine war started in 2022. The reliance on the shortness of memory and just the overall sort of apathy and sort of disconnectedness of the American people is just really kind of wild to see now that we have the platforms and the technology to really showcase that, right? Because don't forget, I mean, the people on Twitter are the people who look around and are curious about these kinds of things, but most people aren't. So now you have a real fracture in the society between people who actually seek out the knowledge and the sort of wisdom that comes from exploring those different sort of contradictions, and those who don't. The people who aren't on social media, they just don't really remember, hey, wasn't this same guy saying a completely different thing in the context of Russia-Ukraine that he is now in the context of Israel-Gaza? And does that not expose not only a hypocrisy, but yes, a certain racism against the people of Gaza? I mean, they are not worth worrying about in the same way, obviously.
Well, you remember the reporter who at the beginning of the Ukraine war shit the bed. So that's my new favorite phrase. Yeah, well, what's remarkable is these are people who look like us.
Yeah, white people being invaded.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think also, and even that mainstream narrative, such as it is, it's not really working. If you look, the majority of people want a ceasefire at this point. And that is with this relentless propaganda coming from the administration. I think that part of that is people will go along with an imperial project as long as you're lining their pockets. And it is incredible, even though we might be a capitalist system, it's a very different system. In ancient Rome, they got rid of taxes. You didn't have to pay taxes. And that's why people supported these imperial wars, because you didn't have to pay taxes because they were robbing all the places they invaded to the point that they had more than enough riches to make Roman citizens tax-free, right? It was the same in America. When the average person was really benefiting from this exploitation, no one had anything to say about it.
Right.
Now people are not benefiting. Now they're questioning it.
Please clap.